Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Marriage is Tougher Than Woodpecker Lives podcast. This is Brian, joined by my co-host, Paul. We'd like to welcome you to a community meant for the men of the world to share their thoughts and perspectives on marriage. We can learn from each other's experiences and help each other be better husbands. This week on the pod, we want to talk to you about, are we friends? We previously did an episode on whether or not you are your wife's best friend, but baseline, are you even actually friends?
And before we hop into the episode, we just like to say thank you for those who are checking us out for the first time, and we appreciate you for those who have come back again. If you'd like to go take this conversation deeper, you can search Marriage is Tougher on any social media platform, and you can go to marriageisttougher.com and hit the contact form if you'd like to contact us directly there, or if you'd like to be a guest. Again, we appreciate you so much. If you find any value of this, please like, share, and subscribe wherever you're finding this podcast so we can get more ears on this. And again, we appreciate you. So let's get into the show.
Yeah. Man, so I've been thinking about this topic lately. Are we friends? And for me, well, in my mind, I feel like that part of the relationship is very important. I think I'd still stick to the title of wife weighs heavier than best friend, but there has to be that friendship aspect to it, right? Like you have to have similar interests and things that you admire and like about each other. And I find in my relationship specifically, we don't necessarily have a lot of common interests. And I think I struggle with that. Have you found that to be the case with some of the couples that you coach?
Absolutely. And I think it's a weird phenomenon of like opposites attract. So in the beginning, it's like, oh, this is so different and it's so cute or whatever. And if you work on that, that can help pull out things from the other person in the relationship, right? So maybe, I like jazz, she likes heavy metal, right? We meet in the middle somewhere, we start to pick out things, and now we kind of have a fusion, excuse me, a fusion type thing that we like. Or, I like this type of food. You've never tried it. Now we taste it. Now, we've mixed some things that we create. But it's, excuse me, I'm so sorry. It's about being intentional and not forgetting about putting work towards that. It's something that we stress for sure when we're coaching couples, is especially if they're brand new or not married, no kids, no nothing like that, right? So it's like, okay, what do you like about each other? What don't you like? What is there anything you'd want to change? If not, what are your interests? What are they not? How do you meet each other in those interests that are different?
Mm-hmm.
And we have a real conversation about that, right? If someone's like, man, I'm real outdoorsy, and someone's like, no, I just like to be, I'm a social butterfly. Someone's like, I like to be myself, go on walks, right? So you have to meet each other. Like, when are we going to group outings? When are we going just in nature by ourselves? What are some things that I can learn or that I can teach you or be taught in the thing that you don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of helps. Once you learn, you gain interest. Um, and then maybe you might never be super passionate as your spouse, but at least you're knowledgeable and are willing to, put yourself out there in that space. All that to say, it's work.
For sure. Yeah, man. Um, I, I think from the time I found golf and knew that I wanted to be married, I always imagined that I would grow old golfing with my wife. Now, that could be interpreted as a very selfish, uh, view on things, but it's literally just something that I've always desired. Um, one of Katie's friends and her fiance golf together, which has opened a door for us to
Mm-hmm.
tackle that. Um, but I don't know that Katie has very many interests in like hobbies,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so I guess my concern is that we're getting lost in the children. And I
Yeah.
hear that happens with a lot of different couples, right? So because it can be so busy, right? It's easy to make the excuse, well, we don't have time to do anything for ourselves. And then, the years go by and next thing you know, like y'all don't really know each other, right? Because a lot of changes can happen over those times. And a lot of, I'll say, I don't want to say sneaking off, but, going off to pursue your own interests from time to time when you can fit that in, is not connection.
Mm-hmm.
It is appreciated that you're a lot of that time, but it's not connection. And I don't want to end up as empty nesters that have to re-find each other, right? So I guess what are what are some tips you might have for couples to find each other now?
It is, I think it's like a lot of things we talk about. It's mindset,
Mm.
right? It has to be intentional.
Yeah.
So you have to think about it, want to do it, and then prove that you want to do it by setting time to do it, right? Because, like you said, it's easy to, you actually have some downtime where, you know, all the kids are somewhere
Mm.
and now you can do something for yourself. Are you willing to sacrifice that to do something together? Right. So, like, if you have time, okay, one's at a party, one's at a soccer game, one's at something that, or a practice that you don't have to be at, right? You drop them off, whatever. Depending on how old you are, or how old the kids are, you leaving them or not, whatever. But you have it where it works out, or someone has them somewhere. All right. And now, am I going golfing, or am I trying to build a bridge with my wife on something that either we've both never done or something that she likes to do that I can be involved in or learn about?
Yeah,
So
that's where it
that's,
hits for me. Something new, right? Like one of the things that we have always connected on is food, right? So we like to try to find new restaurants. We like to eat very much when we travel and find new places just everywhere and new styles of food as well.
mm-hmm,
So I've had the thought of trying to connect that passion of ours to something new. Um, where I struggle is just blatantly trying to find something new to try together because our time is so eaten up,
mm-hmm.
right? But I think that's going to look like us having conversations around the intentionality of trying to find something new that both of us enjoy, right? Whether it be, I don't know, it could be bingo, it could be, a trivia night, or who knows, But that new piece is
Yeah, I,
important.
I think an exercise we do um, with our couples is, separately write down, 5 to 10 things that you like to do, period. Like, don't think of anyone else. Don't think of what do you like to do, right? 5 to 10 things separately, come together, see if there's any commonality on the list. And then on the different things, on dates, you're now alternating doing that activity with,
Mm.
so one it'll be mine, one it'll be my spouse's, the next one will be mine, the next one will be my spouse's. And then whoever's it's the thing that they like, they take ownership of that date.
Okay.
Right. So they set it they set it up, figure out what they're gonna do. Like, say if, okay, we want to go play pool, right? She's never played pool. Okay. So now we found out, where can we play pool at? are we going to do dinner first? Are we going to do drinks? Like, how much time are we going to have? Right. Figure all that out. If it's, oh, I like to hike. Okay. Which park are we going to? Is there anything cool about this park that's unique to this area that I can figure out that we can talk about? Right. So it's kind of setting it up, just a slow intro into those things. And that helps with I'm the only one that ever sets up a date type of thing, or all those things are squashed because we're now bouncing back and forth. And we have a list and we're saying, okay, first one we're doing is this, second one we're doing is this. It's just, when is the time? That's the hardest part. Okay. Next date, whether that's in 6 minutes or 6 weeks, either way, we have it on the calendar and we're going there. And that seems to be helpful.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what are the rules around experiencing something for the first time? As in, like, it's not your interest, it's your partner's, and never wanting to do that again. Did not enjoy that.
And that's the
Don't want to
thing.
go back.
It's at least, and that way you've, the partner has scratched the itch of the other partner and found out, hey, we've discovered together this is not a thing that we'll ever do. Because the flip side is, oh, I love pool. When can we come and do this again?
Right.
Or I love, all the nature, and I thought my allergies would be crazy, but they're not. And look at all this cool stuff. Now you're going on walks, and now it's like, okay, let's find a new trail. And that's one of our dates. That's all right, there's 20 trails here. Let's hit, 10 of these this year. Right. Something that you never thought you would do. Right. So there will be, I hate this. There will be, I love this. And then there'll be some, I'll do this again if you want, that type of thing, which is still good to remember that this person is an individual. They have interests outside of me, but I'm showing that I love them by sacrificing to do this thing that they love.
Yeah. Man, I just remembered when it was just the two of us, we used to play Scrabble all the time. We haven't done that in years, bro.
And that's the one that just get them to bed.
Yeah. Right.
And you can play.
Yeah. Oh man, Scrabble. That's crazy. Yeah. And it did kind of get taken over by the phone game that was similar to Scrabble. And we were doing that for a while, but people get busy and they don't play back in time. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. But yeah, like I was telling you before, board games are big for our family because it's something that everybody can be involved in more or less. So that's another similar interest. But I'm glad that we pulled that out, the other side to it, right? That it can be positive and it can be something that they're like, oh, I didn't realize that this is something I would enjoy. And then I think for us, also pulling the kids into that as well could provide some longevity to the activity. And then even with that, even if it's something that starts with the kids, once you're empty nesters, it doesn't necessarily mean that just because it's different that it's something you would stop doing.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's important, obviously, to expose kids to new things too. But it's about being intentional, because it can very easily become a family only activity, whatever it is. Like it can just morph into that because that's what we do. Like, oh, the kids will really like this. Let's do this. And now you've sacrificed your time together or pushed it aside for the kids. Like, we have to remember that we are married first, parents second. And sometimes we forget that, especially when it gets into the hustle and bustle of life. If your marriage is strong, generally your parenting will be strong. Because you'll feel supported, seen, loved, validated, all the things that you need to be confident of it in anything in life. And you'll be on the same page because your communication will be good. So you have to set out those times to be locked in as a couple.
Yeah. Man, that's it's so crazy that I did that without even realizing it, right? Because we want the kids to be involved so
Hmm.
much, and we want them to experience new things, and we want them to have similar interests, so that time together becomes easier, right? We're not all like fighting for I want to do
Hmm.
this,
Hmm.
I want to do that. But it's that could be part of my issue is that we rope the kids in and for lack of better words, we eliminate our personal time. That is wild.
Well, a way that you can combat that, right? I was thinking about this, is just do the same thing for the kids, right? However many
Mhm.
kids you have, if you have multiple kids, or just one, like, okay, I want everyone to make a list of the things you like to do. And then you do a family thing where the kids are rotating their, you know, in your case, three things that they like.
Mhm.
Um, so the next family outing, you do what one likes, the next one alternate, right? Just go around that. And then you also do just you and Katie's own list for our date nights or our time together whenever we have an hour or something.
Mhm.
Um, and the cool thing about making the list is you know how much time you have for each thing roughly, right? Like if you're like, okay, we'll do Scrabble, we can do that on a night. We get the kids to bed, we clean everything up, house is shut down, we can play Scrabble. That doesn't involve driving, getting ready, all those extra things that takes to go out on a date,
Right.
right? Or if you're going hiking, you'll need, 90 minutes, you need walking shoes, you know, exercise gear, whatever that is, shorts, leggings for her, whatever, hoodie, jacket, water, all that stuff. So once you identify those things, it can already be prepped and then be like, okay, we have 90 minutes on Tuesday at 6. What can we do?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. One thought I'm having right now is being more intentional about your lazy time, right? For us at the end of the day, we're often exhausted, right? We got the whole day of work, we got the
mhm,
kids events, outings and all that. And then by the time we have that alone time, we're like, all right, you know, maybe dishes need to be done, cleaning the house, whatever the case may be.
mhm,
Laundry is always a thing. And it's so easy to, at the end of all that, or even during, like let's say the laundry and it needs to be folded, to just sit there and veg and throw the TV on and not connect,
mhm.
right? You're there physically in the same space, but you're not putting any effort into actually connecting. And I think that's something I'll need to be more intentional about is, you know, asking some questions about, things that I may not know about or
Mhm.
approaching new topics that might just naturally pull those types of things out. Um, but I think at this point, that's not something we are doing for sure. We're very task oriented,
Mm.
right? It's like how we've discovered to get things done. We just have to focus on the task, and
Right.
But I think we may need to start integrating some, I don't know, some questions, some other activities, or maybe just leave the TV off.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea of question. I mean, we're both question card people
Yeah,
anyway. So it can be like, okay, before we even watch the show, like, no, we're not going to not watch the show, but before we turn the show on, let's grab a question from the deck
right.
and just do that. And we might not want to, it might be tired, but it could be amazing
Yeah,
and
yeah.
spark a great conversation. And I think that's something that I'm interested in maybe putting into our routine because we don't always go to bed at the same time. Um,
Okay.
but there's a time of, like you said, a downtime where everything is day's done, Belle's in bed, we've cleaned up everything. Okay. Now we're either shut down, like I'm about to go to bed. She's about to, get into something else. So it's like, okay, let's just answer one question. Let's just take one question, ask it. We can connect right here. then I can go to sleep. You can get in the bath, whatever. But that's a good thing, I think, to implement, at least to keep conversation. Because if we want to talk about, once the kids are gone, it is like, how do we speak to each other? What are we talking about? Do we know how to ask good questions? And if we build that muscle now, you know, 10 years from now, for me, uh, a little bit longer for you, but you'll have those times. And it really starts once, your youngest is in high school, right?
Mhm.
Like once they're 10th, 11th grade and they're doing all their stuff, but they can kind of get there on their own. There'll be a lot more time for you guys or for us as, parents to have. So it's kind of making sure we are practicing communicating. Um, and I think, for husbands, we don't, as men, that's not our go to, is to have conversations or legit conversation, or not legit, but or deeper conversations.
Mhm.
We'll talk weather, we'll talk sports, we'll talk crazy current events, but the deep things of life we don't always have a person that we're doing it. While females, they generally have one person at least, or know how to dive in a group setting pretty easily. So we would have to practice with our wife. And that's one thing about being friends. Thinking about our relationship, like we've had years to tackle those things, but we
Mhm.
didn't always have. I mean, it was a lot of surface, 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 deep, or surface, surface, surface. Something tragic happened, or surface, something big event, and we were able to connect there. But you can't manufacture those things in marriage, but you can have questions and figure out how to ask and answer questions, and that kind of connects there.
Yeah. And so a funny thing about our relationship as well, and I know we're up against the clock here, but when we've had some of those deep life cultural conversations, we've disagreed in some of those areas, which made those conversations a lot harder.
Mm,
All right. So I think if that's the case, it sometimes makes it harder to get back into that space.
mm, yeah,
Um, but I still also think that it's worth having those conversations as well, right? Like you don't know what you don't know about the person you love and
right,
have devoted the rest of your life to. Um, it's I think it's worth knowing. And it's certainly not worth fighting over, right? If you have
right.
disagreements or different stances on things,
Hmm.
whether it be politics or whatever the case may be. Um, and then you might just even find topics that you don't need to touch anymore
Right.
if
That's
that's the
true
case,
too.
you know. But yeah, man, I think that's all I have on it. It's been a helpful conversation because it's been on my mind for a while. Is what are the things that I can do to feel closer to my wife?
Right.
And I think that friendship piece, I think it's it sometimes feels like um, whether or not you like your spouse, but that's not the case to me. I know I like my
Hmm.
wife.
Hmm.
It's how can we be more like friends,
Yeah,
right? Because it's just that piece needs to be there.
absolutely. Yeah, it's an intentionality, right? What we preach, man. Wanting to grow, but you have to be intentional to grow.
Mm.
So, yeah, man, we can wrap this one up. We appreciate you guys sticking through a full episode. If, again, you got any value out of this, share it with someone, like it, subscribe to our channel wherever you're receiving this from. Also, if you want to go deeper, search Marriage is Tougher on any social media platform, or go to marriageisttougher.com and hit the contact form where you can be a guest or put in your bid to be a guest as well. So we appreciate you. Thank you. And until next time, we'll chat later.
Peace.